Okay, everybody, here we are. We're back again. We're fucking back in the studio. This is a Canadian Talk podcast. We got our best gal Jibby's here. Mascot of the show. We got everything we need. We've been on a bit of a hiatus. That's for sure. But yeah, anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. This is a fucking podcast. This is the Canadian Talk podcast, where we have a regular Canadian guy talking regular Canadian things from a common sense perspective, like I'm Pierre Polyev. So, I don't know, you're either going to like that or you're not going to like that. But thanks for tuning in. If you aren't already, please subscribe to the channel. Like, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify or whatever it may be, just, if you don't mind, click that subscribe button. Jibbies would really appreciate it. So, what do we got going on, guys? We're back after a long hiatus. You know what, though? Give me a break. I've been doing this for like 7-8 years now. You know what I've gotten out of it? Nothing. Nothing in the slightest. So, that means that this is for you. And I do this to entertain. I do this to inform. I don't know why I do this, to be honest. Maybe I'm just an attention-seeking, antisocial narcissist. Could be that. But I got my dinosaur shirt on. Makes me feel powerful. I'm ready to frickin' rock. So, yeah, that's what we're here for. That's what we're doing today. So we had a long hiatus. Now, your question might be, why did that happen, Stephan? And I'll go and I'll reply to said question with saying, I accidentally poisoned myself. So, aside from me being upset about the Canadian election, I accidentally poisoned myself. Okay? So, let me explain just a second here. I think it's time for the beer chug of the day and to let the mascot out because she's scratching on the door. So, just one moment. And there she goes. And we're alone in a room. Another thing, if I could just do some more selfish promotion here. This is a Canadian Talk podcast hat, and there's also shirts and stuff. They're at the website, stephanjackson.ca. If you want to get some of those, you could be that guy who has the weird hat that's like represents some show that nobody's ever heard of. You could be that guy, because I'm that guy. So, I don't know, join me. So that's my one more promotion for you as I cough into the mic, because I'm such a professional, And, so how did I, even though I seem poisoned right now, because technically, as I do this, you can imagine I'm already kind of half poisoned with whatever I just put in my mouth, which is, who knows what that is, some sort of a nicotine pouch, fucking nicotine salt? Like, how do they crystallize it? I don't know anything about anything. Like, so that might be bad. And then we got this poison right here, which is just old yeast in water, right? That's poison. And then I'm smoking other drugs as well. What the fuck? But, so you'd think, oh, Stephan, you poison yourself all the time. What are you so worried about? Fair. But this time, I did it by accident and over a long period of time. and it was severe. So, that's what happened this time. So, what happened was this. I am a frugal man. I like to live in a way that's efficient. Like, I'm not wasting a lot of money. I'm not a guy who rents a penthouse suite apartment kind of thing or owns it, or even I'm more of a pragmatic liver. I feel a lot of maybe this is the weed's fault. I don't know. But I feel a lot of anxiety when I think of the idea of having a life where there's a lot of expenses and you have to work to cover those expenses. I like the idea of essentially being able to have a place to live where you don't have to pay. Like, the money, it's paid for, it's free. That sounds crazy, but if you buy a property and then you rent it and then the rental makes money, like, you can set that up if you are efficient enough with it and you like really are okay with an average lifestyle for like a good 15 years, depending on how much seed money you have from maybe a fucking parent died or something, who knows. But If you don't have that, like myself, it can be a long road. So yeah, I get a lot of anxiety. So that's why I live a life like that. So anyway, on the side of one of my houses, I thought, hey, why not live like I could live at my rental property fine, but why not just expand it and then live there and then rent out the property? That was my logic. So I did that. I built an expansion onto my house, one of my houses, and I put in a bedroom. I put in this studio into one of the expansions, and so on and so forth. And in the studio, the 2-bedroom area, I put in an ensuite bathroom. And yes, you would think that as a civil engineer, I would know these kinds of things. Like, I set up the bathroom perfect. I put in all the requirements for it's done. Missed any plumber that's watching out there, it's done right. But what I did was one of the pipes that led to the shower drain pipe, right? I was concerned because I well insulated the floor, don't get me wrong, but I guess this is my inexperience with not being sure, but I just wanted to play it safe. Stay with me here. I didn't put the pipe for the shower drain was kind of low. It was kind of close to the concrete foundation, if you will. And I was like, okay, let's not put a P-trap on the shower for now and make sure that this functions, make sure it doesn't freeze. And I'll get one of those things where I'll put a cap over the top of the drain where the water goes. And I was like, that'll work. And I thought, and it did work. The bathroom's vented. There's a floor drain. Every other appliance, obviously the toilet and the sink, have P-traps, but the shower didn't. And I've been living in this space for about 3 years now, I think, if not more. So let's just say but I built the bathroom 1 year in. So with the bathroom, 2 years. I told myself that once I found out the first winter that it doesn't freeze, you got to put a P-trap in that shower. And I just never got around to it last summer. And I looked it up. I was like, okay, so by the way, we're talking about sewer gases here that can happen in a bathroom. It's like, I guess it's methane or it's other things like that. And for the first year, I was totally fine. My breathing was fine. Because like, I'm sure anybody who's watched an episode or so, I've been complaining about my lungs for the past little while. And it was an issue. But the only reason it was, it was an issue, honestly. It was an issue all around. And it really became an issue. Why I decided to I got to fix this now was because it forced me to fully stop smoking. And I was like, hey, I guess, have I smoked that much in my life? Like, why are my lungs so fucked? And then I quit smoking, and then it still didn't go away. And I was like, hey, this is bad. And what I mean by go away is these were the symptoms. I would and this is what also gave it away, because I had to self-diagnose all this shit. It would happen during my sleep. So I'd be sleeping, and then I would wake up in the morning, and my throat would be kind of constricted, and I wouldn't be able to breathe that well. And I got an inhaler to fix it temporarily, but the inhaler, I think, only made it worse because when my body was protecting itself by inflaming my throat, I would just open that back up and bang. So it started getting to my lungs, I think, more with the sewer gases, and my breathing got worse. So anyway, I was like, hey, I better put in this P-trap. I did it, and since it's fixed everything. So as you can imagine, I'm barbecued right now because I'm back to normal. Everything's back to normal. The old Canadian talk is back. So we don't have no weed sober Stephan anymore, but that's fine. I mean, take from it what you will. There's a lot of pro weed people out there now. I'm not really sure. I couldn't get a statistic on that, but I feel as though it's got to be close to 50-50. There's not many people the thing is though, is in the work world, you're still fucked. Like, if you're going to try to get a job and be like, oh, I smoke weed on a regular basis, you can't really say that without being like, oh, I've got a medical condition. Or you can't get like a high quality job. Like, most employers are kind of afraid of it. And you can't work construction, which is my primary field, which is horrible, is like structural engineering. Because you can't work in that field. Because I think of like the requirements for non-drug use. If there's like an incident, and I guess sometimes there's dangerous shit going around, but you would think that maybe just the workers would be under that constraint. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm being elitist with that. I think I am, right? By being like, oh, but they do more dangerous stuff than the people in the office, don't they? So yeah. Anyway, but that my point was that yeah, the old Canadian talk is back, and this is the lulls that we're used to from the old Canadian talk. So yeah, no producer today. We're kicking it old school. So to any of my friends that watch, any of the people, thanks for tuning in. And yeah, you're going to get a classic one here. But that is really the bulk of the story that I had for this episode. So we're going to see what comes out after this. But yeah, we're here. We're living it up. Maybe, I wonder what a listener might be doing right now. You might be at your work. You might be fishing on a boat. You might be at your cabin. You might be driving in your car. You might be out on a jog. Those things are all pretty cool, and now here we are. We're sharing some time. It's like you have a friend in your ear, but then you didn't have to even invite the friend. The friend will come over whenever you want the friend to come over, which is, I think, a big pro to the friend simulator, as the liberals call it. Is that fair to say now? Which is podcasting. So, because a lot of people say that listening to lots of podcasts is antisocial behavior, and I'm not so sure about that. If you have an opinion on that, please pop that one in the comments. I'd be curious to hear anybody's opinion on that. Because, I don't know, it's done nothing but improve my relationships outside of life. I mean, because I think it is a good thing for you. Because if you're not talking, how are you really processing those thoughts that you have? I guess you have to, it's an opinion on how deep the thoughts are able to be processed in the mind until they're voiced. Because sometimes, for the craziest reason, I have no idea. It's like math, where you can have a theory, but then once you put it into practice, does it work? Like empirical versus theoretical. Because sometimes when you say an idea you have, it will sound good in your mind, and then when it comes out, it just doesn't come out in the same way as you were thinking it. So I don't know. I guess the theoretical favoritists, they're going to be like, oh, that's just because those ideas are good still, but you just can't voice them. But I don't know. I think that something has to work theoretically and in practice for it to be considered the highest value of an idea. If it doesn't hold up, then it doesn't hold up. So that's what I think about that. So that's why podcasts are good. But anyway, yeah, what's been going on for me most recently? I mean, I just recently I've been having lots of conversations, and I hate to do this. I know, this is so cliche, but I do have to put in my 2 cents on this. And that is, artificial intelligence and large language models and all this type of stuff that's becoming pretty popular, right? It's becoming popular amongst the youth. It's one of those movements that it's like cell phones, where you can be an old person and be like, oh, it's better the old way, the original way. Whether it be, who knows, anything. Doing math, like a calculation, or doing, seeing somebody in person versus a phone call. This can happen with technology. Older people want to deny its progress, but I think it's becoming undeniable the power of these large language learning software, AI prompted things. My original opinion, right, and this is such an old guy opinion. My original opinion was, how is it going to be better than Google anyway? Because it is just Google, really. But now you can prompt it with your voice very accurately, and they're customizing the searches to work better with those voice prompts and stuff like that. So, how is AI any different than Google? But it is different, and I think that the applications, it's becoming undeniable. Again, maybe there will just be a hierarchy of, these people can use it, and the large majority of people still won't be able to use it in a productive way in their life, which is my opinion before, but still kind of my opinion now. Because, I mean, really, what is a fucking fisherman going to do with a large language? Sure, even if he has it right in his hands on his phone, how is that going to help him? it'll be very small things that it'll help a fisherman versus some other professions where it may help you a lot. Like, let's say, like maybe a politician, I think would be up near the highest levels of who that can help. Because it ultimately is really just a communication improvement on an already existing technology, the search engine, right? Like, so it's just an expansion on that already existing technology. But the large language models, where they're able to give you these long write-ups that are very, you ask it a question and it gives you all this stuff. All that for employers, for higher up administrator people, that can be used so much. It can just write emails now and all that kind of a thing. So anyway, to get to a point, because there's so many points that can be made here, if I could bring it into my own experience with what's been happening with me, because this is all I can do. I'm not a Harvard professor or whatever, obviously. So I've been having some debates with my buddies and stuff, and they think that these large language models are going to revolutionize the engineering industry and a lot of other business industries, because, well, they made it, like, I've heard this comparison to the calculator, and I'm just not so sure about that, because the calculator, it's a huge jump in the efficiency that you can do those calculations that are necessary to make a decision in engineering. Fine. I don't really see how the large language models are going to progress that very much further. Like, they're just not. They can simulate experience, but I don't see how that could improve that industry. Maybe it can get you writing emails a lot better, which is important, but at the end of the day, you still have to go over it all. And it's just a new way of reading a book. Like, you could have still gotten all that information from a book if you knew where to find it, and you could write those emails in the same good way that AI just wrote that email. But it would just take a little longer. So, and the search engine is just, I guess it's starting to be able to be expanded in what it's able to give back to you in terms of metadata and answers. It's able to extract the information from all these sources and put it in one place for you versus having to go and find those books, which can be good. That is a power, but what are you really saving here? Not that much time, and you're taking the authenticity. You're completely sacrificing the authenticity of it all, which I think is a bigger issue than can be expressed really in a short, like, that's a big issue. And then, which then, as we always do, we connect it to the legal system, because that's a huge important thing in our world. Like, then you could go, okay, maybe these softwares for analysis can be used to analyze the most, you could say, organized, purely written documents out there, even maybe above mathematics, is like the legal system, where it's all these rules, where it's already in coding language, basically. Like, legal language isn't much different from coding language. So you could get these softwares to analyze the legal data and just essentially be judges. And it would have no moral or ethical compass to its decisions, but it could potentially increase the efficiency of these smaller scale decisions and in the court systems and in the legal system. So, but here is some of the problems, okay? And I want to lay this out because I said a lot of the positives, but the problems are this. And by the way, this is a comedy show, people. I'm not sure if we're going to find any comedy here on this one, but like, if you, even in a small scale case, like, let's say something that I'm more used to, like a residential tenancy case, a small one, the level of ethical decisions that the justice of the peace or the mediator, or in a rare case like a judge, but they don't usually handle these small cases even. The level of ethical aspects involved in the decision is huge, because there's almost always legal correctness on both sides of the argument that brings you damn near to 50-50. So a lot of times the people that make the decisions in the mediations make these decisions, like, a lot of times they will favor the poorer person, the tenant, over the landlord in many of these close 50-50 calls, and they can justify it using all kinds of legal, important stuff that could make a good case. But there is also a large ignorance towards all of their incorrect things that they're not citing on the other side of the argument. And that is a problem for the large language model, because it won't have that ethical aspect, So that would be a huge problem with that. But maybe it might be able to help with more larger scale ones. But I think a lawyer would argue the opposite of that. I think you're in a big, big trouble if you try to use these things in the courts, because I think the authenticity of the judge or a human being behind these decisions is so important. It's almost more important than in engineering when you have these mathematical decisions. You could say that those legal decisions are mathematical decisions too, but there isn't. There is an aspect of humanness to a legal judgment, in my opinion. So that's what I have to say about that, and that'll close the fucking boring. This will be when most people clicked off on this last 10 minutes of me talking about this nonsense. Because with podcasts, especially young ones like this where I don't have any credibility, one of the hardest things to do is to keep people listening as you continue to talk, because there's lulls in your... I mean, I've done 130 of these things, okay? This is going to be episode, I think, 128 of Canadian Talk, by the way. I've done so much of this, over hundreds of hours now. I've just released stuff. And I still have these unfortunate lapses where... I mean, I just need more practice, but you have these lulls where it's like you lose people's attention, and you want to not do that. You know, you want to try to keep their attention, and podcasting has that as a big problem too. Like, there are people out there with legendary attention spans, but a lot of times, you want to know the funny thing is that a lot of times the people that will give you the most time to talk, like actually listen the longest on a podcast, are usually the haters, because they're like looking for something to attack you on. So as they see you starting to have a lull, or as they see you starting to say something that maybe isn't correct, that's when they continue watching, versus the people that love you where they'll watch it for a minute and be like, oh, that's kind of funny, and then they'll click off of it. So it's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? So, but I still am a believer in the long podcast, 1 hour plus. It's got to be 1 hour plus. There's a lot of guys out there who do. They're pre-preppers. They're guys who write stuff down and have it in front of them. They can do these 20-minute little bangers where it's like, fine, that's great that you do that, but that's not necessarily authentic. I've already missed a phone call during this. Sweet. So, but this is something, you know, that's where my argument with the large language model crosses over with the podcast argument too, or the long form, is the authenticity of the long form improv is there. So I'm accepting my lulls. I'm not like crafting a way around them by preparing stuff. So just like the authenticity of a person making these decisions by the best of their abilities rather than a computer making it, because how can you ever really... You can't program in ethics or morals, even if it's in a written form, for a computer to make the same decision as a human. I don't think. Does that make me like a hardcore naturalist? I feel like it does. But having a living thing behind a decision that involves an array of data, I think, is important. So we'll end it at that. And so yeah, let's get to some of like current events and what we got going on. We have a few good episodes coming up. I've already recorded a few with some awesome comedians that, you know, hilarious people that do like kind of racial comedy. Like, so by the way, coming up, I'm not going to give away the names, but I have a few recorded. So they're going to be coming out weekly here again, just like the back in the day before this 2-month break I had this summer. We've got smart PhD type people who are also performers coming on the show that talk about all kinds of interesting stuff. We've got more risky racial comics coming on that maybe don't have PhDs. We've got people coming in person who are musicians or just talented people. I'm very lucky. You know, I know that I don't... You know, this is the thing where it's so tough with succeeding at stuff. Like, let's say you're a low-level golfer, whatever you are, hockey, any sport. It's so hard at the bottom when nobody cares about you. But if you're able to see the small gains, you can find reverence in that. Is that the right word? Because I'm so lucky to be... I can put out requests. I've talked to young people who tried to start podcasts who they say, "Oh, I just had to stop it because it was just too hard." Like on me, like I would ask people and I wouldn't get responses, and it made me feel like I've got no friends or something. But it's like I've been lucky enough that I haven't quite had that experience. I almost have success always when I invite people on. I love finding the people that I'm going to put on. I love talking to the people that I'm going to put on. I'm so lucky. And I like to think that the views, anything that could be considered success comes later. And later, like, I don't even care when later type of thing. And you almost have to accept that before you'll ever have any type of success, I think. You have to deeply accept it to where it can kill you. It can take you out. Like, because it's hard. It's hard when the only thing you ever hear is nobody cares about what you have to say. But I think that we all feel that way sometimes. And like, democracy and stuff is a political apparatus that's meant to try to make us not feel that way. But we all feel that way. We all want respect in our communities, and that's what you have to do, and you have to earn it. So, so taking reverence in the little wins is very important at the bottom. And so I lost my train of thought there, but what do we got? I mean, we were talking about the people we got coming up. We got great guests, and we're all very lucky. So thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe. I'm going to keep doing this. I'll keep getting great guests. There is no limit of people out there. I will tell you that. If you might think there's no way Stephan can get 1,000 people. Just watch me. There is so many interesting people out there that I can't wait to talk to. And so the issue will never be the abundance of things that I can do myself like this, or people that will talk to me. Because the people, that's the beauty, is that, like, there's an audience not required in comedy or anything. This requires nothing but me and you, the speaker and the listener. This is a religious mass between the two of us, where we're both expanding our minds by putting our minds outside of it. We're creating a physical thing with our thoughts. And that is as close as you can get, I think, to fucking, some sort of thing. I don't know. Shall we slam this beer? I think we should slam this beer, and then we should get into the podcast jokes list a little bit, see what we got on there. Because I think I've got some stuff on there. I'm not really sure. We'll see. But let's slam this beer first. What do you say? So if you're drinking a beer, or if you're, hopefully you're not driving and drinking a beer, but, that's fine too. Slam that beer right now with me, and there's going to be a momentary quiet while we do that, okay? 3, 2, 1, go. There we go. So we did that. So let's get into this list like the old days. We can even do one stupid joke too. Let's do, the harmonica. See, I've got everything here in my studio waiting for me. That's the key. Is it's so tough for the younger artists to have all their stuff in one place, because I forget this shit exists, I'm starting to see a lot of comedians, though, use harmonicas on stage. It's fucking awesome. But it's so funny to hit a punchline and just be like... It adds an element to it that's kind of awesome. So what do we got here? It's the first one we see. Why did Stalin only write in lowercase? Because he hated capitalism. This is the hackiest shit ever. Seriously, I should be ashamed of myself. Where do typists go to get a drink? The space bar. Why do bees hum? Because they don't have the words. Okay, that was weirdly sounded like a bumblebee, that low thing. Okay, sorry, I won't punish you with that anymore. Okay, so what do we got in the realm of my own shit here? What do we got going on? And so for those who are still listening as well, thank you. This is the Canadian Talk Podcast. We are centered in Saskatchewan, Canada. Basically a place that most people like to pretend doesn't exist. We are, well, Canada maybe, but it's true. It's true. When it comes to culture, the biggest culture wins. So the ones that are small, out in the middle of nowhere, we can't deny that we really do matter less. But that doesn't mean we can't have a voice, right? So here we are. What do we got here? This is an interesting insight, but I'll get back to that one. Schools beginning to ban phones. I mean, phones have always been banned in like schools, but like, yeah, it's. I think that I don't know if banning phones is good. Maybe it's good. We'll do like a speed round here. Here's a list of the upcoming guests. This is just a bit on how the idea of falling asleep is kind of an interesting turn of phrase. Like, because in a sense, you can never remember exactly when you fall asleep. So it's like, it's interesting to call it falling, but when you fall, you immediately know. So it's almost like it's an anti-word to what it's trying to mean. You'd think they would call it like, because you know when you're falling, what's something that happens that you don't know? They should call it tripping, like tripping to sleep. Right? Like, or some other fucking word that a smart person would think of. So yeah, what else do we got on the list here? I'll go back up to that other one that's a bit depressing, but we got bathroom poisoning. We talked about that already. I've got my dinosaur shirt on. I got this, by the way, I got this from a golf trip that I took in Alberta in Drumheller. It's a pretty cool, like, dinosaur town in Alberta. And they have a really cool golf course there that is like built right into the Badlands. You can Google it and you'll see all these weird Badland dunes and stuff. That is probably the reason. Like, I know that now that I've learned this from going there, a lot of the fossils that they have there, dinosaur fossils, they didn't really find there. They found them a bit of a ways away, but they also found some there. And I think the way that this landscape is, with how it kind of sinks down and it exposes a lot of stratigraphy, which is stratigraphy is like a fancy word for deep levels of dirt where you don't have to dig it up because it's like a big sinkhole kind of thing. That's probably why this place is known for all this. It's kind of crazy though that like 90% of the fossils are not from the location of the dinosaur tourist town. They're from, I think, this other area called like Drumheller Lake, or not, Dinosaur Valley or Dinosaur Lake or something. They're from over there, which I think is like an hour or 2 hours away from the place, which is kind of crazy. So, yeah, but great golf course. I went there, and my God, though, I will say, so the front nine is more of a regular golf course. The back nine is the dunes portion. So I think they hide it back there because of how special it is. But it is one of the most difficult golf courses I have ever been on. I guess if you want to see how, like, I could pull up some pictures, I guess, on this pod, like put them in the bottom of like the organization of the golf course. But I've never, it's like target shooting. There is no fairways. You have to land it here, land it there. You can almost never play your driver. By the way, sorry about some of the burping here, guys. That's what you get when you get a beer cast. But it's so challenging. But if you're on, and if you're like it's really bad if you're a muscle golfer. Like if you're one of those guys who gets huge distance, you're going to have a tough time at this golf course. That's why I liked it so much, because I'm kind of the opposite of that in my golf game. Yeah, I have had a great year of golf this year. I've got my first hole-in-one. I made many eagles. I won tournaments. I set course records. This summer, I set a course record at the Purdue Oasis golf course of 64 out there. The previous record was 65. I set it on a men's night about 2 months ago, prior to now. So around in June, we're in fall now of 2025. So yeah, but if you can, I would hit that Drumheller golf course. It turned out to be the highlight of the whole trip. I ended up doing like 40. The golf course was so amazing. The back nine, I ended up doing like 40 something holes in one day. I did the front nine, golfed horribly, went to the back, did it the first time, golfed horribly because it destroyed me. And then I kept circling the back nine and just paying and paying and paying. So I did the back nine literally 5 times, and then the front nine. And maybe four times. I think 5 times is an exaggeration. And holy cow, it got better and better, and made some birdies on some crazy holes. I made a birdie on 11, which is, if you ever go there, you'll see that it's one of the most insane holes you'll ever play. And then I also made a birdie on the par 3 12th, which comes right after that one. And it is like a huge elevation drop, literally probably at least 200 feet. You're up on, and you're going right down into the bottom of one of these Badland dunes. crazy hole. And I managed to find a birdie on that one once too. And then, oh my God, hole 13, after that one, it's blind. It's completely blind. And you can't hit the driver further than like 240. Or so you'll want to take a wood or an iron. But even if you could honestly hit, what's funny about the hole, this is what's funny about the hole, is you could hit a 9-iron off the tee and go just as far as a guy hitting a 3-wood. Because this fairway is so steep, but the grass is still great. I don't know how it aerates and manages to not burn out. It funnels almost every tee shot to this one same spot, about 220 in, and you're forced to do this blind shot to the green where you have to go over this huge bush. So it's basically a mandatory blind approach. So hard to hit the green unless you somehow go right. There's some flat spots over there, but it's so dangerous, it's impossible to do. And yeah, I managed to birdie that one too. I got a lucky approach. I actually birdied that one on my first time going around that 9, because I got a lucky pitching wedge up there. I think it might have been an 8 or a 9-iron, because it's decent distance. And then the next hole, 14's another completely blind tee shot from every single tee. It's a par 4. The fairway isn't even a fairway. So this is what I'm talking about here. You have to drive around to the side. The cart path is at a fucking such a slope that you think you're gonna die. Like, I can imagine that so many golf carts get wrecked out there. It's probably insane. And the fairway it's so slopey that they couldn't do a fairway on this one. They do it in platforms. So there is like the fairway on this hole is 5 platforms of grass that are each like 50 feet lower than each other. So it looks like you're in like Star Wars with a bunch of little grass plots. So when you hit off the tee, you basically have to hope that you land on one of these plots, because because you can't see them. So it's like shooting at a blind green off the tee box. Oh my God. Sorry, I know I'm getting into the weeds with this golf explanation, but I didn't remember how, until I started explaining it, I didn't realize how much I had to explain this place. It's absolutely nuts. So yeah, I'll get out of those weeds, and that's enough. I'll tell you for that one. Even though every single hole is insane on the back 9. I could just go on and on. It's one of the most insane golf courses I've ever golfed. So yeah, by the end of this, I'm just realizing I couldn't recommend it enough. Go to Drumheller and golf. So yeah. What else we got going on here? We got trans shootings happening. That's unfortunate. That's on my list, just because that's fucking crazy. It happened again. I feel like maybe there needs to be some rules in place where it's like you can be trans or whatever, but maybe you don't maybe you have to go and live somewhere where you're only around trans people, because that's what you should want, right? You only want to be around gender fluid people because you hate all the genders and stuff. So that's what you should want. There should be a trans island. Okay, we found an extremely bigoted point of view that's kind of funny. But there should probably be a trans island. If there's an extremely heterosexual, if Epstein Island is considered to be the pinnacle heterosexual island, I guess they're fucking kids that are under 18 by a bit, but there should be a trans island where these people can just go and do whatever fluid shit they want to do. But yeah, trans shooting. So, because then they won't be shooting up schools. Then they can have their own schools. And I wonder how much those would get shot up. Maybe that's where the newest spies come from. The best people at shooting guns. And the army will recruit them as Born Identity type fucking assassins. Because they'll come from Trans Island. And there'll be so many school shootings that they'll all just have guns. And they'll get into shootouts every week and shit. And then the best trans gunmen will just rise to the top. Oh, fuck, that's a clip. That's hilarious. So anyway. Oh God, we got some good ones here. Rampage Jackson's son beating up this wrestler. Holy shit, man. That was a hard video to watch. I need another swig for that. That was just a sec. Wrestling is kind of supposed to be fake. You're supposed to try to not hit the person that hard. He slams this guy to the ground and I think dazed him, semi-knocked him out. This big white guy named, his name is Psycho something. And then while he was on the ground, he literally rained 20 full looping punches down on this guy's dome as he's dazed and knocked out. So not defending himself at all. His arms are spread eagle. And this guy, Rampage Jackson, a famous UFC fighter, this guy's son just absolutely assaults this guy. So I don't love it. That's my take on that. I don't really have anything to say other than that's not cool. Maybe he should go to jail. And then he's just going to get more famous. Like if he wanted, this is actually not a bad idea for him to get famous. Maybe him and Psycho came up with this idea. Because I didn't know about Rajah Jackson before this. He's going to be famous now. Maybe he goes to jail for a little while. Makes an apology video. He's going to be famous now. So good for him. You know, I hope Psycho's okay. And these are just a couple of jokes. I don't know. Watermelon and celery are just placebo foods for people with eating disorders to pretend they're eating. That's a joke I wrote. This one says, don't shield your daughter too much and not give her a phone when she's too young because she's just going to end up selling dirty socks on Etsy and to buy her own phone and keep it at her friend's house. That seems like just a fact. I don't know if that's a joke, but it is crazy that women can make livings doing that kind of a thing. It's kind of crazy. Like just, oh man, that's crazy. Just sell your dirty clothes. Sell your bathwater. It's crazy that there's people that do that. How do they do that? How can I get myself into that industry? Okay, so those are some of the jokes. What else we got here? We'll go back up to that serious thing. What was that? Oh yeah, so this is more of a life one, even though this has been already too serious of a podcast probably, but we got another life chit chat here we're going to do. And it really is a promotion of podcasts. And again, if you like this podcast, please go and subscribe on the YouTube. Just fucking hit the subscribe. You probably are logged out of your YouTube account most of the time. Go to the YouTube app, hit the subscribe button, get my numbers up because I'm at 270, but if I can get to 500, I can start making a little bit of money off this. Because clearly I talk too crazy for sponsors because I had a few opportunities for sponsors that fell through. Like one was like a golf grip. One was something else. You know, I could get my buddies to like put their companies behind it because I have buddies that own companies, but I'm not doing that. You know, like who wants their landscaping company to be behind? Who's going to get landscaping? Like, oh, they're watching this and they're like, oh, I need my lawn cut. Like nobody. So I'm not going to have sponsors. I'm going to need money from meta internet shit. So if I can get to 500 subscribers, that would be fucking awesome. And thing is though, is I have enough money. So also you don't have to subscribe because I'm going to keep doing this regardless of if it gets subscribers or not. I just hope maybe one day like I'll snap and I'll like, not that I'll commit suicide, but maybe like something crazy will happen. Maybe I'll get murdered from like a hater or something will happen. And then all this stuff will blow up. That'll be kind of cool. And then they'll point to this. They'll put this moment on the news after I get murdered for something I say on this podcast. And then the episodes will blow up. But then at least my kids, if they can extract some sperm out of my dead body, then my kids won't have to like work. Or my grandkids. That'd be kind of cool. You know? So anyway, this thing I have written down in here, it says, and this, like I said, this bodes to why podcasts are good and why, because the humans are so spread out now. And with multiculturalism, if we want it to work at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to want to, they may not have enough friends around them that are like them, or it's been proven that friendship can be tough across ethnicities. Homogeneity has been proven statistically to be the best way of forming bonds with your peers if they're the same species as you, whatever. But I'm wanting multiculturalism to work. We're in for that. So that's where podcasts come in. You know, you can have your friends with that, and then you're okay with, you know, hanging out with Rajit every now and then, and maybe you guys don't have to talk about the stuff that you talk about, you hear on your podcast. I don't know. It's a way of having more pseudo friends and being able to function in a society. Let's put it that way. So anyway, the premise is it's too bad that when you get beat down. I think that plus was meant to say get old. It's too bad that when you get old, you get beat down by life. It's hard to find adults that have the same energy as, say, a young person, or because I think that's why a lot of adults end up idolizing or we know. I think I'm not an old person, but I do but now that I'm even in my 30s, I know that it's much funner to hang around younger people typically than older people. Because like a lot of them are beat down, or they're very like just kind of depressed or depressing. And that is unfortunate because I think that life does it to you. If you don't like fight against it, I think that life can really beat you down as you age. And some people get so pessimistic towards it. They get exclusionary with like, oh, I don't like these people or that people or whatever. And then before you know it, you're just sitting in your house fucking watching The View, or whatever. I mean, it's fine to watch The View. I suppose I guess it's better than sitting around watching this. I'm just saying that like, you don't feel, I don't know exactly. Like, you do want to have friends. Wait, what's my point here? Hold on. Let me circle back and make sure I'm staying on target here. Like, it is tough that, and why do adults and older people get so sad? Kids are hard to raise. I get that. Work, the modern day capitalist kind of 9 to 5, that's tough. Those things alone explain what I'm talking about here. It's not hard to understand. That's what causes it. But then the social aspect of how you're kind of so beat down, some people spring back from it and they're more fun to hang out with because of how hard their work life is or being around their kids. That's cool. But it is hard to get people to shift into that gear. Like, a lot of people need substances, or they need to be in the complete right place with the right people. And that comes so few and far between. It's a bit of a limiting factor in the happiness of the social experience of the modern person trying to survive, and it's sad because we all want to have friends that are fun to be around and have our groups that we can go and hang out with. It would be great, just like how we all need a fucking hour of exercise every day. It would be great if we could hang out with our friends that we like basically every 3 or 4 days. I imagine we need even more than that. I think there's a lot of men out there that need it every day. Hunter type men who are like, they would go out with their boys every day. The most important thing about hunting was like, hey, be out there. You'll get the fucking gophers. You'll get the bird. You'll get the whatever you get. And so there's guys that need it every day. Like, that's the tough part, is there's a sliding scale of what people need. Thankfully, I don't think I'm quite up into that hunter area there where I crave it every day, but there's got to be people out there who do. And so, find it. I think you just got to find it, whether it be through podcasts or your TV shows or whatever it is. God, and be happy with whatever things you have that make you happy. Like, there'll always be people out there who will be like, oh, that's not right. Like, you shouldn't be watching mainstream news. Like, shut the fuck up. I enjoy it. It's funny. It's stupid. I'm not saying me. I'm saying this could be a person who likes mainstream news. Everybody can like what they like. It doesn't matter. And if it makes you happy, don't let anybody criticize whatever you're doing to synergize or to simulate what we used to get naturally by having survival be much harder. The fact that survival is so easy is what creates these social or psychological issues. Remember that psychological issues, try to remember that they're supposed to be the least important. Like, I think a lot of modern people, especially maybe the Gen Zers or the younger people now, because they have no other struggles, they think that this mental struggle is so important. Like it's not that important. It is actually one of the most minor problems you can have. So, but people lose sight of that. Anyway, that's an episode. Sweet podcast. I guess the final theme of this is fucking large language models suck. Don't poison yourself. Make sure you find good friends with whatever way you can, and try to facilitate your friends to be themselves, even if that sometimes comes from sacrificing your own image, because your image doesn't matter. What matters is the moments that you can share with your friends, and even your friends' opinions cannot matter. They cannot matter as much as, because people's opinions change, and they will associate that fun with you regardless of if they think that you're Mr. Responsible. Like, I think that that's the theme of a lot of modern, like, there's some movies that kind of, I think, capture that. It's a really genius theme. But like a few movies that come to mind are like Are You Here? That's one with Owen Wilson and Zach Galifianakis. That's like the central theme of that. Our idiot brother. That's another one that has a central theme of that. You know, just if you deem that you are smarter or the one who needs to facilitate it, like the teacher in a classroom of students, facilitate the good experiences. Don't worry about yourself. Be selfless in your own management of, be selfless in your management of your persona that you want to project onto others. Give to them. Let them believe that you're an idiot because you make the joke about something funny that's racist or whatever. Do it and have fun, and that's the theme. And that's Canadian Talk, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and please watch some other episodes. We got some good guests coming up. I just wanted to do a solo before I got these guest episodes coming up so we could get back to our roots a little bit. Yeah. That's Canadian Talk, you know. To all the Canadians out there, to anybody who's American, anybody else tuning in, don't take us for granted. Thanks for watching, and hope you have a good rest of your whatever, okay?